Welcome to the Movie Spoiler Club, the channel where you can watch movie, television, and streaming series within minutes. Today we're going to spoil the movie Spider-Man Far From Home, 2019. This movie story plot is about Peter Parker's, Tom Holland, relaxing European vacation takes an unexpected turn when Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, shows up in his hotel room to recruit him for a mission. The world is in danger as four massive elemental creatures, each representing Earth, air, water, and fire, emerge from a hole torn in the universe. Parker soon finds himself donning the Spider-Man suit to help Fury and fellow superhero Mysterio, Jake Gyllenhaal, stop the evil entities from wreaking havoc across the continent. The movie opens in Mexico, and we see Nick Fury and Maria Hill have arrived in a village where a massive cyclone was reported, and the witnesses had claimed that the cyclone had a face. As they wander in the village discussing whether it's another world threat, they encounter a massive earth elemental, followed by a man in a superhero suit who manages to defeat the creature. A cut after the Marvel intro brings us to Peter Parker's high school, and on the news they do a memoriam for the lost Avengers and discuss the events on Thanos, restoring humanity, and the blip. We see Peter Parker talking to his best friend Ned about a plan to tell his feelings to his crush MJ on the class trip to Europe. Peter attends a fundraising event with his Aunt May and meets Happy Hogan backstage. Happy seems to be flirting with May, and he tells Peter that Nick Fury is going to call him. Just a moment later he receives a call from Fury, but Peter decides not to answer it since he has other things to worry about. Then Peter goes back on stage to answer the media reporter's questions, but he gets uncomfortable with all the mentioning of the death of Iron Man and questions on who'll be the next Iron Man. So he leaves. When the time comes for the trip, Peter decides to leave the Spidey suit at his home to enjoy his vacation. On the plane, Peter tries to sit next to MJ, but the attempt goes wrong as Mr. Harrington and Mr. Dell, the teachers in charge, coordinate Peter to sit next to Mr. Harrington himself. Peter jealously watches MJ sitting next to Brad, a kid who was not disintegrated and had grown to be a handsome athlete. Meanwhile, Ned is seated with Betty, the news announcer girl, and they end up being a couple. At the Italian immigration, he discovers that May has packed the suit into his bag anyway, as she had some kind of an instinct which she calls as a Peter tingle, that his nephew might need the suit. The class arrives in Venice, and as they get to go on sightseeing, Peter manages to get close to MJ, who seemed like to be having a good time with Brad. Just then a massive water elemental rises from the Venice canals and starts to tear the city apart with a flood. As the class and the people are running for safety, Peter tries to do something about the creature, but as he had left the suit in the hotel room before they came sightseeing and scare people knowing he is Spider-Man, he's helpless against the elemental. Then the same superhero-suited man who appeared in Mexico comes in and defeats the elemental with his powers. After that, he flies away as a hero from the applause from the people he saved. And later the event goes down on the news. The reporters call him as Mysterio. The class goes back to the hotel, and as Peter and Ned walk into their room, Ned gets tranquilized by Nick Fury, who's been waiting for Peter on a couch. After blaming Peter for dodging his calls, Fury takes suited up Peter into a cave where they've set up a workplace. There Peter meets a crew consisting of Maria Hill, Dimitri, and also Quentin Beck, the mystery superhero man who appeared and defeated the elemental. Fury explains that Beck is from an Earth in an alternate parallel reality, where the elementals are coming from. Elementals are assumed to be caused by Thanos' snap, and now 3 out of 4 elementals are destroyed, except the fiercest one, the fire elemental. Beck claims this elemental to be the one that destroyed his own planet, and they tell Peter that they'll be needing Spidey's help to stop the elemental. But Peter refuses and leaves because he's worried about his friends, and he feels he's not up to the level of an Avenger for a task like this. Fury takes control of the class's trip and alters its next destination to Prague, the supposed location for the next elemental attack. As the class gets on the bus, Peter sees that Fury has appointed his crew member Dimitri as the driver for the trip. When the bus stops for a snack break, Dimitri directs Peter into another room separating him from others. And there, Peter meets a woman who gives him a new black-colored suit, since Peter had told Fury that he cannot go out in the usual Spidey suit, or else his schoolmates will know his identity. While he's changing to try out the suit, Brad accidentally enters the room and takes a photo of Peter changing clothes in front of a Euro chick to show it to MJ and win her over. Helpless, back on the bus, Peter takes out Tony's sunglasses that Fury gave him and puts it on. To his surprise, an AI named Edith opens up in the sunglasses, giving Peter access to all Tony's protocols. Without knowing how to use it properly, Peter accidentally sets off a killer drone attack on Brad, but manages to miss it by aligning the bus and shoots web at the drone. Finally, Peter manages to get Edith to remove the photo from Brad's phone. While sightseeing in Prague with the class, Peter gets a call from Fury, and when he meets Fury, he agrees to help to stop the fire elemental and develops a plan with Mysterio for the task, to keep Peter's friends safe and away from the action. Fury changes the class's next activity to watch an opera, giving them free tickets. The class is unhappy because they'll be missing an opportunity to attend a fun carnival due to this opera. When the time comes for Peter to sneak out from the class group before the opera begins, he gets the perfect chance to sit next to MJ and bond with her, but it's ruined by the job he has to do. However, MJ notices that Peter's sneaking out and she follows him. Seeing that, then he also goes out with Ned following MJ. Assuming that MJ is going to the carnival, outside, Peter has changed into the black suit, and he informs Mysterio when the fire elemental rises and starts to rampage. Spidey and Mysterio together finally manage to defeat the elemental. A web shot by Spidey in the battle pulls something out from the creature, and it falls on the ground close to MJ, who's been hiding and watching the fight. After the battle, we see Beck having a drink with Peter, sitting in a restaurant. While they're talking, a waitress picks up and gives Peter the Edith eyeglasses which had fallen on the floor. When Beck asks about the eyeglasses, Peter tells him to try it on. When Beck's wearing it, Peter thinks about the note that was in the sunglasses case that Tony left him, which said, "For next Tony Stark, I trust you," thinking that Tony would have chosen Peter just to pick someone that suits to be the next Iron Man. While Beck resists getting the eyeglasses, Peter transfers the control of Edith over to Quentin Beck and leaves to spend the time with his friends and reunite with MJ. After Peter leaves the restaurant, we see the restaurant gradually transform into a whole another building, showing that all scenes before was an illusion created by Beck and his working crews. Everyone in the crew is a former employee of Stark Industries, and their target is to make the world see that Mysterio is the greatest superhero in the world, not the so-called Avengers or Iron Man. By manipulating Peter, they have got hold of Edith. They can increase the scale of their illusion to make the image of Mysterio and the fight in front of the public even bigger. Since the opera chance was ruined, Peter invites MJ for a walk in the city without others. Peter tries to tell his feelings to her while walking, but she cuts him off and reveals that she knows about Peter being Spider-Man. Surprised, Peter tries to deny it by saying that the black-suited one who appeared in Prague was not Spider-Man. But then MJ shows him the part that a web which pulled out something from the creature is the same webbing as Spider-Man. The part suddenly turns on and shows a projection of Beck fighting the air elemental, proving that elementals were not real and Beck was a fraud. As Peter realizes the terrible thing he just did through this discovery, he admits to MJ that he's Spider-Man. Meanwhile, Beck is staging another illusion in a studio to show to the public an even larger creature that's supposed to be a combination of the previous 4 elementals. Beck creates this to fake battle an Avenger-level threat as his next task, in order to overcome the legacy of the Avengers. While preparing for it, they find out that Peter has got hold of the missing equipment, and that he knows about their fraud. Peter goes to meet Fury and Hill to tell them the truth about Beck, but Beck gets to him before that, and traps Peter inside an illusion to get the information of whom Peter has told about the fraud. As Beck pretends to be Fury and asks questions from Peter, he admits that he has already told Ned and MJ. It's too late when Peter realizes that Beck's been imposing Nick Fury, and Beck sets out to kill Peter's friends after hitting him with a train. Peter gets injured, and he wakes up in a jail cell in the Netherlands. Peter breaks out and calls Happy Hogan to come and get him. On the plane, Happy helps Peter to bandage the wounds as Peter mentally breaks down, disappointed in himself for messing up, but Happy assures him that Tony believed in Peter to be the hero he needs to be. With this, Peter picks himself up and assembles a new suit for himself using Tony's computer system, and they head out to rescue Peter's friends. In the meantime, Happy sends a coded message to Nick Fury to inform about Beck. Through Edith, Beck has taken control over the class trip, and he has placed a goon as the bus driver. The goon stops the bus on a bridge and leaves so that Beck will be able to kill the class amid the staged attack. As the elemental rises, knowing that it's all an illusion, Spidey gets inside of the creature to meet a set of projector drones. He webs them all and breaks the connection, causing the illusion to flip out. Happy rescues Mysterio's main targets, friends of Peter, and also Peter's annoying classmate Flash joins them. As Happy's plane gets blown up, Happy takes them to a medieval tower, and MJ manages to knock the chasing drone by hitting it with a mace she found there. Beck directs Edith to use all the drones to attack Spider-Man, but Spidey dodges them and comes into the walking way on the bridge where Beck is controlling the drones. Beck again puts Peter under an illusion and orders the drones to shoot at him, but using his tingle sense, Peter fights them. Being inside the kill zone, Beck is shot by a drone misfire and gets knocked onto the floor. He attempts one last unsuccessful illusion on Peter and dies in disgrace. We see one of Beck's associates escaping with a data drive. Peter takes the sunglasses and puts them on, commanding the drones to stop the attack. Then MJ comes running to Peter, followed by a kiss and a relationship. As the movie ends, we see Peter taking MJ to ride along with Spider-Man. In the mid-credits, we see the news broadcasting new footage they received on a massive screen in the city. A video that Beck recorded before his death, edited in a way to make people believe that Spider-Man was the one who initiated drone attacks, and Beck was a victim. Just before the fake footage ends, Beck reveals to the entire world that Spider-Man's real name is Peter Parker. After credits, we see Nick Fury and Maria Hill are driving in the aftermath of the events. It's soon revealed that they are Skrulls, Talos and Soren, who had disguised themselves as Fury and Hill all along. And then we see actual Nick Fury gets the report of the event from them while sitting relaxed in a Skrull ship, revealing that he was the one who set Talos and Soren to handle this case. Movie trivia. Do you know that according to storyboard artist Jeffrey Henderson, Mysterio was supposed to be one of the villains in Sam Raimi's cancelled Spider-Man 4. He was to be played by cult icon Bruce Campbell, a childhood friend and longtime collaborator of Raimi's, who had made cameos in all 3 Spider-Man films. This movie gets the movie rating of 7.5 from IMDb, Tomatometer rating of 90 and audience score of 95 from Rotten Tomatoes. Thank you for watching, and be sure to hit like, subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments section, and hit the notification bell for the new movie spoiler video every week.